guys, what's up? I'm back at 'em again with another video, and today we are doing a Jubilee video. There's gonna be pro versus anti-abortion teens. Let's get right into it.
Arguing for the slaughter of human beings because you're pro-choice, and I'm standing here.
Nah, bro. I know.
In
where strong word.
where a fetus cannot.
You said killing a fetus, so it's not a strong word.
It's really not. And but could I just finish?
Dude, I know that guy has not had sex. I know it, dude. I know that guy. There's no shot he's had sex. There's zero shot. Like, I swear he has not.
My statement.
Middle ground. Let's go.
Step forward if you agree with the prompt. I have had unprotected.
Yeah, okay, watch. Like, there's no way that dude has. There's no way the two dudes have had unprotected sex. There's no shot they have. Like, at least the guy who looks like a beluga whale. At least him, like the really fat guy. Him, there's no shot.
Protected sex.
Yeah, I knew it, bro. I was gonna say no shot that the two dudes had, but no. I had a strong feeling that guy was a virgin too. I knew it, bro. Dude, watch. Or he's gonna be like, oh my god, I'm so protected. Dude actually hasn't, bro. This guy's lying if he's like, no, I've had lots of protected sex. Like, dude, stop capping. Stop capping. Like, let's be real.
So I see we all been getting it on. About that.
The first time that I had sex, I didn't have the knowledge that I should have. I think, I didn't know what plan B was until I started having sex. That just like, maybe I missed that day in class, but that was not taught in sex ed. So I didn't know what plan B was until I started having sex, but now I'm a lot more educated, a lot more comfortable, like I'm on birth control.
Man, I would hope you're like more educated on it, man. Like once you start having it, dude, it's like if you start watching soccer, bro, you gotta get more educated on it. But yeah, it's way more serious than soccer, though, I would say.
But obviously, like birth control isn't always effective, isn't always accessible. So I understand like my privilege in that.
Well, the first time that I had unprotected sex was a couple months ago with my fiance. We're both adults, and we were in a real period of grief because I had just had a miscarriage, I think about a month before, after we'd had protected sex.
The first time that I had unprotected sex was unprotected sex was with the person that I am.
Dude, what's wrong with, like, dude, like, she speaks so
Currently married to. We got married.
This is teens, dude. Bro, like, the anti-abortion people are like, yo, so I'm married now. Like, the women are like, yo, so I'm married now at 19. I'm totally gonna get divorced at 30 or 40. Yeah, cool life, man. Thank you. For sure having children because I'm anti-abortion. For sure having children, and those children are gonna have to deal with likely my divorce. So yeah, that's gonna be so rough, dude, for those children, man. Sucks. So
Straight out of high school. I was 18. It was like a week after I graduated. And we're really happy together, and we love the idea of having a child, you know. Currently pregnant right now.
Heck
Second trimester. That's, you know, so clearly I had unprotected sex to get here.
Are you going to college, or do you have a job? Like how's that working?
So I mainly do activism. I try to advocate for people who are in the same position as the person inside.
oh my god, so she's a paid protester. We got a paid anti-abortion protester. Here we go.
To me right now. And I think that the value of their life is intrinsic to every fetus. So honestly, right now, I'm just chilling as an activist.
So now what she's gonna say is she's gonna say, bro, all these moms, they got it. All these women, unplanned pregnancies, they got it good, bro. They should just chill around all day like me. You know, they shouldn't have to work like I do. Like, I just don't work. They shouldn't have to work like me. That's yeah. already we got our answer done there.
But do you make money?
Sometimes, if my followers give me some.
Sick.
Oh my god, dude. She gets money if her followers give her some. So essentially what she's looking for is like a bunch of right wingers being like, yo, I'm so anti-abortion, dude. Please have your kid. Please have your kid, bro. Here's some money to have your kid. It's like, bro, like, chill out, dude. Holy shit.
Depends. When you were having unprotected sex, would you say that you would have been financially stable enough to have a child?
No.
No?
Okay.
Would you say you would have been emotionally ready enough to have a child?
No.
Okay. All right, then.
I think I was in kind of a similar situation
What?
to you. Not so much because I was pressured by a partner or anything like that, but because the sex ed courses that we had, like yours was lacking, were very lacking in terms of queer sexual education. And the sex I was having, I thought I didn't need any kind of protection for it because I was sleeping with people who couldn't get me pregnant.
The first time I've ever had unprotected sex, I was young enough to not know what sex even was.
Whoa, 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 pause. This doesn't
So
seem good.
I was very much manipulated and groomed by someone
Groomed. She said the G word. No.
in my life to think that what I was doing was okay and normal. And that scared me because, you know, when I finally told my parents, it wasn't a really good conversation where they were like, of course they were shocked because that person is in our family.
In their family! Fucking incest, dude! Sweet Home Alabama type shit. Oh my god.
And they were like, that isn't real, you're just trying to get it for attention kind of thing.
Oh, and
And then,
believe her.
but in a sense I knew that they believed me because we went to some dingy ass Walmart and bought a pregnancy test because they were like, if you are pregnant, you can't tell anyone that it's his. You have to say that we adopted another child.
Whoa.
And you would have to keep that baby. I did not want to have a baby at a very young age. I was not emotionally ready. I was not.
Yo, all I gotta say is, bro, she got some screwed up parents, yo. Dude, that's why, honestly, like, if you're gonna be a screwed up parent like that, please either don't have kids or, like, you know, if you are in a position to have a child, then, like, maybe think about terminating the pregnancy if you're gonna be, like, a parent like that, dude. Like, Jesus Christ.
Financially ready. I was still in school trying to think, like, I have a future for myself that I want to do, you know? Fortunately, I was not pregnant.
Do you think that people can't achieve bright futures when they have children?
Well, watch. She's gonna say, no, I that's not what I think. I think it's just way harder, and I wouldn't be able to myself.
They can achieve bright futures if they have a child. I just knew that I wouldn't have been able to achieve that future.
Well, there are like resources available, particularly.
Well, there are like a resource available, but like, you know, blah, blah, blah. You see resource this, resource that. I get money from my followers to have children.
For people who are student parents, for people who are on-campus parents who have children, babies, toddlers, children of all ages. There are also resources in terms of crisis pregnancy centers, also known as pregnancy help centers. There's thousands of them across.
Dude, the problem with those is they will always tell you, hey, yo, you gotta keep the kid. Even if it's not in your best interest to keep the kid, they're like, you know, like, keep the kid. Like, even if the kid's gonna be like a vegetable and like just cost you money and not know what's going on, they're gonna be like, yo, like, keep the kid. Like, even if the kid's gonna be like a veggie, dude, like, even if the kid's gonna be like starring in VeggieTales, bro, like, you're not they're like, yo, like, keep the kid. Like, even though that's probably not the best thing, if the kid can't like know anything, then like you probably shouldn't keep the kid. Like, G.
Might not have actually wanted. They felt like they had to.
Do you feel like that was your situation? Do you feel like you didn't want to have an abortion, like if it happened?
I think that because I grew up in a very conservative home, so abortion wasn't even in the picture. I wasn't even allowed to have that idea. And like thinking of it now, like, yeah, there are crisis centers, but we're also going through like baby formula shortage. Like, there's not even paid parental leave. So if we're going to be able to bring
Lack of paid parental leave is a huge thing.
a child into this world, I think we should fight for more health care that is free for women or people who can give birth. And especially since I was at a very young age, I honestly just didn't know what I would do in that situation.
For me, when I started engaging in intercourse, I started out using protection. I've been volunteering with Planned Parenthood since I was about 15. When I was a junior in high school, I've had an intense passion for reproductive rights. So I immediately, as soon as I knew that.
Dude, I feel like this is like kind of weirdly on the other side, but I feel like that's way better than being a weird anti-abortion person. Possibly, I don't know.
That resource was accessible to me, I put myself on birth control. But unfortunately, birth control isn't the end-all be-all. And from putting myself on several forms of birth control, I realized that the adverse effects of birth control can be very, very altering. And currently, I'm in a very long-term committed relationship with my boyfriend. And of course, when you have someone attractive, you want to have sex with them. And he's the first person I've really started participating in unprotected sex with.
All right, can the disagreeer step forward?
Earl, real quick, virgin alert, virgin alert, virgin alert. Beep, 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 beep. Virgin, 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 virgin.
I've not had sex yet.
Called it. But what did I say? Come on.
And that's just because of my religious ethical.
Get out of here. Nobody will have sex with you, dog. Come on. Dude, I bet you can't even see your own pecker, dude. Like dude looks down and like sees skin, yo, like
Code and moral code. I'm a Catholic. I've been raised in a Christian household, and I just don't see that as something that's beneficial or valuable to my life at this point. There's been times when I've questioned if I was ready and questioned my faith, but I've always just kind of found my way back to the church and agreeing with the church's teachings. So I've never really had a desire, and I was in foster care as a child, and so I witnessed a lot of sexual violence there, and it's just been one of those things I almost feel like just subconsciously I've never really wanted.
It's 2 a.m. Shut up.
So I really don't see myself like living in a sexual relationship with another at this time of my life, just because it just isn't really what I feel like is right for me.
Sort of in the same boat. I'm Catholic as well, but I'm not. I haven't had sex before. It's not just because
it's because no women want this guy. That's why.
I'm Catholic. It's like there are other reasons as to why I haven't, such as pair bonding, and I think just it helps to keep the marital act within marriage because, newsflash, sex makes babies. So I think it's just good for a child to have a mother and father, because when families are sort of separated, it causes a lot of problems for children, especially like with divorce now. It's like surveys have shown that divorce is often worse than the death of a parent, just because it's just like, at least you know, like when the parent has passed, it's like they didn't leave you behind. So
I have 2 questions for you.
Dude, that's a really weird take, but by that guy, but okay. Dude, come on. If a girl looks like this and is like the voice of reason, bro, you know you're doing poorly.
The first one is, where did you get those surveys from?
I don't remember. I was just in passing, but
That's
I don't
fine.
really know.
The second thing I wanted to ask, you said something about sex always making babies. Well, you didn't say always. You said sex makes babies, and I would love to challenge that a little bit, because
It's not the only reason for like sex, because it's like you have the pair bonding and sort of the emotional going on between the two people, but sort of like the telos, the primary purpose of it, sort of is for that. But there's other legitimate sort of secondary reasons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you would say that the primary purpose of all sex is babies?
Because I wouldn't say all sex, because there's times where you can't conceive because like the woman cycles, so she's not always fertile. But I think it's just the natural order
What about homosexual sex?
of that act is for having children.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what they were getting at is to not assume that all sex is heterosexual. So
Yeah, that is a pretty heteronormative view. I completely.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, even though she's like, probably wouldn't agree with a lot of this woman right here, her views still like gay sex is a thing, dog.
Validate and respect that you don't want to have sex for you. But for those of us who can't even ever, for any reason, get pregnant during sex, I think it's a little reductive to assume that that's like the reason people would do it.
I think there's also a difference between reproductive sex and non-reproductive
Yeah.
sex.
Yeah.
Like, let's be so for real. There's so many things you can do to not get pregnant.
I had mine about 1.5 years ago. And I've never felt shame, never felt regret. I've never even second-guessed my choice. Surprisingly, my parents are Middle Eastern immigrants, and they were very supportive. The 9 months of pregnancy isn't considered to be a challenge in its own. It's like, oh, you can give the child up for adoption. Oh, there are resources, there are crisis pregnancy centers. But those 9 months, that's still morning sickness. That's still doctor visits. I had to go to the ER in the very short time that it took me finding out that I was pregnant to getting the actual abortion, because I thought I had an ectopic pregnancy, because that's what my gynecologist told me. There are so many things to consider. I can't go to school if I'm sick, if I'm already, mental health isn't something that's secure for me. And then on the top of that, I'm gonna have to deal with thinking about this pregnancy. Are people gonna judge me for being a teen mom?
Okay, so I had an abortion fairly recently. I had one about 2 to 3 days before my recent birthday last year in November. It was a very unexpected event. I remember having symptoms almost immediately. I was about 6 weeks, I believe, 5 weeks and 7 days. I actually did not suspect I was pregnant because I had been going through some traumatic life events that threw my cycle off. My period was on average 40 days late, so I just didn't suspect anything when I was 6 days late that past cycle. And my boyfriend, who I was confiding in at the time and telling about my current bodily circumstances, had a feeling beyond me, the woman in this equation who should know what's going on. He was the one that prompted me to go get a test because he felt that I was pregnant. And when we found out, it was a shock. I'm the type of person, when in my relationships, I make very clear my positions on how I am with abortion and pregnancy and child rearing. I'm very transparent in that matter because there should be no room for error in that case, but that's because I'm fortunate enough to be educated in that manner. I'm a volunteer with Planned Parenthood, so I knew the resources available to me, and at that time, when I did conceive, it was not when I was on birth control. And so partially, I take responsibility for the circumstances that led to the conception of that pregnancy. Although I'm very grateful and I'm very appreciative that I had access to this form of healthcare, it was something that I grieved heavily. It was something that my boyfriend grieved heavily. We were not ecstatic to have done this. We were not happy that we had to make this choice. But because of our plans as individuals, as adults, and our life plan is to get married, is to complete school,